You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Thursday installment of the Clement Manyathela Show. We're so happy to be in your company this morning, as always. Thank you for being in ours as well. We kick off the show with the 702 open line on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about this morning? I woke up to the news, and in fact, Sviso was running that now, throughout the morning. The news about a peace deal of sorts in the Middle East. US President Donald Trump says Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of this peace deal. My understanding is that the agreement would see the release of the Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, the withdrawal of Israeli forces, and the entry of more aid into Gaza. Hamas has confirmed the deal. They released a statement saying the agreement stipulated an end to the war on Gaza, the occupation's withdrawal from it, and the entry of aid and a prisoner exchange. But Israel's government has a meeting this afternoon to formally approve the deal, and then once everybody is on board, a ceasefire will go into effect. Whether this deal will last, we have to wait and see. The details still need to be ironed out. I mean, other deals have fallen off previously, but let's hope this one holds. Qatar, Turkey, Egypt have played a key role in the negotiations. And look, if this succeeds, this could be Donald Trump's biggest diplomatic achievement. And maybe that will give him that peace deal prize, Nobel Peace Prize that he's been wanting so much. Trump said the US will be playing a key role in the rebuilding of Gaza. That's part of the deal. In fact, I think the next stage of Trump's plan calls for the creation of an international body called the Board of Peace to oversee Gaza's post-war administration. And I think Trump will be chairing that. And it will include other world leaders like the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. How hopeful are you that this peace deal will succeed? Let me know your thoughts. The KZN Police Commissioner, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, continued his testimony as well yesterday at the Parliamentary inquiry into the allegations of corruption in the criminal justice system. He said a number of things, and I'll play some of the clips out of that inquiry yesterday. But please share your thoughts with us on what he revealed yesterday. Call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note. The National Police Commissioner, Fanima Semola, takes the hot seat today.
Clement Manyathela. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM.
Morning, Clement. I watched that ad hoc committee session last night. It ended 00.18, meaning 18 minutes past 12. The man was so on fire. He was awake. He was clear. I really give a big shout to Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. What a man. He is really a man of honor. He's doing so well. May the gods guide and bless him.
Yeah, he's been up. 2 days of taking those questions from members of parliament. It can get tiring on you. But I was happy with the questions, I think, that were coming from most of the members of parliament. I think more so Julius Malema. They were clarity-seeking questions. They're trying to get to the bottom of who. We found out yesterday about Bheki Cele. In fact, listen to what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said about Bheki Cele, because as he was asked questions, he was able to reveal more, some of which we didn't even know. because it wasn't mentioned at the Nhlanhla Commission. And he mentioned yesterday that Bekitele once sent a bank account to the arrested businessman Ket Matlala, who then sent Bekitele proof of payment, which is quite interesting.
The names that we put in here specifically are names of the people that we suspect of the wrongdoing in terms of the crime. You will notice between Lieutenant-General Nhlanhla and the reds on the left, we have SAPS runners, DPCI, detectives, Vispol, crime intelligence, forensic service. We do not put names, but we put these categories of disciplines within the organization because we have the names of police officers that are working in this environment, that are facilitating things between JRSB and these criminal people. So we did not necessarily put their names on it, but because there are many, we for that reason. But for the National Commissioner, the divisional, the crime detection, forensic, the crime intelligence, we didn't necessarily put the names. There are names of a head of crime detection, but she's not been accused of anything wrong. That's why I didn't put her name. We have the name of the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence. He hasn't done anything wrong, that's why we did not put the name. So even the linkage between Gerald Cele and the National Commissioner, what we are putting there in that arrow is an explanation. If you notice, there's a dotted line that says SSA.
Yeah.
Because we are told that SSA provided or enabled JRSB to be cleared by providing reports that clears the question marks that were asked by the City of Johannesburg. And as a result, then JRSB was cleared. That's why we have the dotted lines with the SSA to confirm whether has that been signed off by the DG at SSA or is someone within SSA who had no authority to sign that letter to clear JRSB and respond to both the City of Johannesburg as well as the National Commission. But when we are having the names on top, is because they are wrong that we see. Gerald Cele, for instance, when you see the link between Gerald Cele and Vusmut Ket Matlala, is because there's some racketeering that is happening. Gerald Cele sends Vusmut Matlala an account number, account details. Vusmut Matlala deposit money into a private account, not Cele's account, someone else's account. He puts money into that account and he sends a proof to Cele. Cele acknowledged the receipt of that. And then there's other further communication. That's why I'm saying the communication between them is not about the arrest date. It's a communication we see dating back to 2024. There's criminality there that you need to investigate. Who was this money for? Now we're going to that bank account to see whether this money moved by Vus into that account. Did it end with that account, or did it move from that account back to Cele somehow? That's why there's a target there. So it's not a target of appointment per se, but it's the name because of that line. We even wrote the communication dating back to December 2024.
Yes.
So it is not the number of calls that was spoken about in the media. It's what we picked up as we're investigating.
Yeah, so that's what he had said about General Cele. Bheki Cele. It's going to be a very tough testimony for Bheki Cele, both at the Nhlanhla Commission and at the Parliamentary inquiry. Apparently, he's already confirmed he'll be appearing at the inquiry. How is he going to be explaining this? How do you explain sending bank accounts to a man who is implicated in such serious crimes and who was busy getting tenders from government and was in the process of getting a tender from the SAPS? And you are the Minister of Police? How is he going to explain that? And then he stayed at his luxurious apartments in Pretoria, met him in Zimbabwe, at Mongen Maumela's house, according to reports. Yeah, I can't wait for him to appear before, especially the Parliamentary inquiry, because I'm actually enjoying more the questions that the members of Parliament are asking than the questions that are being asked at the Nhlanhla Commission. I feel like the Parliamentary inquiry is more probing. The members of Parliament are more probing. And yes, some of them are going to grandstand, but some of the questions are really quite important.
Hi, Clement, and to everyone at 702. I kindly want to ask, was Mkhwanazi talking about you yesterday, though he never divulged the name? Because he was talking of a journalist who works for the radio and TV, and basically also listening to the statements that you make. Hey, there's no evidence, and you know. So it made me wonder when I listened to his answers. It made me wonder, was he talking about you as one of the journalists that are on the roll? So just an innocent question. I'm not pointing any finger. Thanks.
Thank you. So I didn't watch that part, but someone did send me a clip. So I wasn't able to play it for you so that we don't leave people behind, for some people that may not have caught the clip. But to respond to you, I do think he was talking about me, because which other journalist actually criticized him for responding to that journalist like that from News 24? I'm not aware of any other journalist, especially on the radio, who criticized him, because I did, and I still stand by that. And I've told you why I criticized him. If to him that somehow suggests, and I don't think that's what he suggested. I mean, I'll play the clip now, but I don't think he said that because I criticized him, then I must somehow be involved in these cartels. But if to him that's what he thinks, then that's like wild. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. You know, that would be the craziest thing I've ever heard. But take a listen to exactly what he said yesterday.
And what is journalism? And that message went all over the place. There was one, I think, journalist also in one of the radio station and TV who started criticizing me whether it's necessary for me to respond like that. And I don't know what was I supposed to respond. How was I supposed to respond? Because the same person who took my face and put it on a newspaper that I'm a corrupt person because of the defeating the end of justice case that happened in Richards Bay. It never apologized today about that. So that is typical, some of the people that are involved with this misinformation. For this to stop.
Yeah. So what he means there, I think the confusion people are getting is he was talking about Abraham Mashiro, the journalist from City Press, which he mistakenly thought it's News 24. Because also I get why the confusion, because City Press is actually now on the News 24 platform, right? There's no longer a physical paper. So he was thinking about Abraham Mashiro and how he put his pictures out there and he's never apologized for some of the stories that he says are lies. And then he references what I said on the show. He says, a journalist on a radio station criticized how I responded to Abraham Mashiro when Abraham Mashiro asked him for comment. And yes, I did criticize him for that. And I still stand by that. In fact, when Abraham Mashiro wrote him, because I read this in the City Press and I thought, because Abraham Mashiro sent him a message and said, hey, we want to ask about Sibiya's letter of demand and what your comment is. And General Mkhwanazi responded and said, you have made it your mission to test my patience. Out of 68 million people in this country, over 150,000 SAPS members and over 30 SAPS senior police officers, but you chose to ask me this question. Why is it so important to you to get my opinion on matters that don't concern me? Your independence as a journalist is questionable. I hope you're not one of the beneficiaries from the crime intelligence /fund and drug money. That's how he responded. And I remember I went on air and I said, and I even tweeted this, that this is wild. A journalist asked General Mkhwanazi questions to get his response on a case, and he responds with suggestions that the journalist may be a beneficiary of drug money or crime intelligence /fund, all for asking a question. It's very easy, guys. If you don't want to comment on anything, just say no comment. Or if really you've got reason to believe that this journalist somehow may be involved, provide the evidence or do the investigation. But to think that now journalists must be scared to ask for comment because, oh my God, they're going to think I'm also a beneficiary of drug money is wild. And you know, I picked up something. After I tweeted that, and I went on air and I said that, I received a number of messages. And I think I told you this before. I received a number of messages from some journalists and some members of parliament, and I'll not mention them because they haven't given me the permission to do so. And many of them were telling me that they agree. That response was wild. And these are people who also support General Mkhwanazi. But they felt how he responded to a journalist who's merely asking for comment is weird, by suggesting that they may be a beneficiary of drug cartels, drug monies. That's wild. So I don't think, to respond to that voice note, I don't think he was suggesting that I'm not the one who published stories. I think he was talking about Abraham Mashio. He only referenced me when he says I criticized him. And let me tell you, I will never stop criticizing any person who's in a position of power. I'm an objective journalist who is going to do work objectively. I am not a journalist that's going to be scared of people just because there's a mob that's going to come after you. And it's happened before, where when I come on air and I say something weird about the president or Julius Malema or Mkhwanazi or Shadrach Sibiya, I get calls. Or people start tweeting, yeah, Vele, this one is anti this, or this one is pro this. That stuff doesn't really move me. I've been in this game long enough to just know that I'm here to do my job. That's it. I'm here to do my job. Some other people are going to like it. Some are not going to like it. Whether it's your fave or not, when I find that there's something that's questionable, I'm going to put it out there. And you are very welcome to disagree with me. The same way that you must welcome my disagreement with you on particular issues. So yeah, that's my response to that listener who called in earlier on. But there are some WhatsApp voice notes coming through about the issue of SANEF and what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said about journalists, because he suggested that journalists must be investigated. Because he mentioned what Abraham Mashiko was saying. By the way, in fact, I'm going to take some time, maybe after the headlines, and take you through how many times the stories have been out there about the slush funds being abused. This is not the first time that a journalist reports about the slush fund in crime intelligence being abused. General Mkhwanazi himself acknowledges yesterday, in fact, during the 2-day testimony, that the slush funds has been abused for the longest time. During the time when Richard Mdluli was still the head of crime intelligence, there were reports about the abuse of the slush fund. And you know who's been exposing that? It's always mostly being the journalists. Why must it be different now? Why is it that when a journalist today reports about the abuse of the slush funds, and not because they're getting weird information from some drug cartels, but because the Inspector General of Intelligence is the one who has released a report on that? For 2 decades, this has been reported about. Monies are being wasted and looted through the crime intelligence slush funds. Oh, but right now we must stop reporting about that when journalists have information that monies are being mismanaged? I find that to be really weird. Take a listen to what he said about the journalists, because SANEF then released a statement afterwards, and I want to take your thoughts on that, because I see there's some voice notes coming around, some people calling out SANEF for releasing a statement. In fact, honestly speaking, I actually slightly disagree with SANEF here on this basis that I don't think there's anything wrong with actually journalists being investigated, guys, as long as there's reason for it, right? If someone believes that, oh, yeah, Clement must be maybe involved with CAT or whatever, then there must be an investigation so that the truth is found out. As journalists, surely, if you've got nothing to hide, why would you be scared of any investigation? Like, I've got nothing to hide. You know, if anybody wanted to investigate me as a journalist, I will happily take out whatever they want. Here, put it on paper. So, but you can't also want it to be a blanket approach and say, oh, journalists need to be investigated by state security agency, because why? They're reporting about something that you now are saying, it's very questionable, shouldn't be spoken about. And yet for 2 decades, we know about the crimes and the corruption in the crime intelligence slush fund, specifically because of the journalists that have revealed that. I'll play you that clip after the headlines. Let me quickly take Makudu Sifara, who is the SANEF chairperson, because he needs to get into a meeting quickly. Makudu, thank you so much for coming through. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and thank you for having us.
So what concerns do you have as SANEF about what General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said yesterday?
No, I think the issue we're raising with the general is that he seems to display just utter intolerance for members of the media just doing their work. So maybe before this statement that you're talking about now, just to take you back to when he first had an issue with Abraham Mashego of City Press. Abraham sent him questions, and instead of the general just responding to the content of whatever WhatsApp communication Abraham was having with him, he then decided, no, he's going to throw shade, but not provide evidence. And the shade he threw was, are you not one of the journalists who's on the take, receiving bribes from the slush fund? So, and, our view was that Mkhwanazi is not average or Joe Soap or an ordinary person walking in the streets who has no access to information about stuff. If he wants to accuse Abraham as a top cop, he has access to all manner of information. And he should put the charges against Abraham, and let's deal with the matter from there and take it from there. And so that approach was problematic, because of how the general dealt with that. And perhaps just the last point about that is that after Abraham and Mkhwanazi had that little altercation, the screen grabs of that communication were then leaked to some social media influencer person who then started spreading unfounded claims about Abraham. Now, let's pack that. The commissioner then has his press conference of July 6 or whatever date, then goes to Parliament in the last 2 days. And when he's there, what seems to come through with respect to journalists, he is not putting specific claims on the table where he's saying, here is a list of 3 or 5 rotten journalists, and this is why I think they are rotten. This is what specifically they have done. He's not doing any of that. And he seems to be someone who's just, where it has to do with police, seems to have a thick skin where he deals with his own colleagues in the SAPS. But where members of the media don't report as he would want them to, he's threatening to unleash, I would like counterintelligence to look into. It's almost like, because you don't agree with me, I will get my colleagues who are in counterintelligence to look for anything and everything that can stick against you.
But if he has reason, Makudi, if he has reason to believe that there are certain journalists who are compromised, is it wrong for him to suggest an investigation?
I think your first words are critical. If he has reason. And the point I'm making is that let him put the reason on the table. You can't just go around unleashing investigations on people. And I mean, I at the how do I put this? At the broader level, I agree with you. I mean, if you know you haven't done anything wrong, you shouldn't be afraid of any investigation, right? But at the same time, you can't have a commissioner just behaving like a tin pot dictator, saying, "Oh, what did Clement say about me? No, I didn't like that. Counterintelligence, you are unleashed. Go and
investigate.
Find whatever you can find." I think that is nonsense.
Look, Makudi, I've got to leave it there because I'm completely late for the news. I just wanted us to take you quickly before, because I'm told you're going to be stepping into a meeting. Thank you so much for making time for us. You've heard what Son have said. I'll play you a clip of what Mkhwanazi said, and then I'll go to your calls and WhatsApps.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
22 minutes before 10 o'clock, straight to your calls. Seppo, you are calling us from Pretoria. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clement.
Hey, Tada.
Clement, what General Mkhwanazi is saying, it goes without saying that that was meant to you, or rather it was addressed to you. But it cannot be, Clement, that if someone differ with General Mkhwanazi, automatically become the enemy of the state. I think that is a dangerous approach of General Mkhwanazi, and not all of us we will agree with him. This investigation is still going. The Madlanga Commission is still ongoing, and other parties' evidence has not been tested. And as such, it cannot be taken as a gospel truth of what General Mkhwanazi is accusing people of. Those parties, they still need to come and appear before the commission and present their case. And therefore, if we differ with certain aspect of his allegation, therefore, we cannot be perceived to be an enemy of General Mkhwanazi, not supporting of what he's doing. Look, it's a noble thing that General Mkhwanazi did, and we applaud as a country that he come forward and put such a bravery, to make such a stance against corruption. But having said that, Clement, it cannot be that if you're criticizing him or you don't agree with certain of certain issues of his testimony, automatically then you are perceived to be an enemy of progress.
Or you are part of the drug cartel. Because that's what it is.
Cartel.
I mean,
no, it can't be. We are independent mind, Clement. We must use our brains. We use our mind to think differently from what General Mkhwanazi is saying.
Yeah, and look, let's be fair to him, Tsepo, right? He has revealed some really, really, really explosive things which are helping us understand the corruption in the criminal justice system. But he's not God. He's not. It doesn't mean that whatever he says, then we must take it, and even when he does something that we think is wrong, you don't criticize it. That's ridiculous. And that's not how I do my job. In fact, I've given even you guys examples of how I've been targeted by Shadrach Sibiya's people. But I've also been targeted by people who are close to Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. I told you guys, I received a call. When I had Malcolm X on this show. Malcolm X was talking about how he knew Mkhwanazi through the work they do in KZN, but has never met him. And I tweeted what Malcolm X was saying about that and other things on the show, and I was leading people to the podcast. And I got a call from someone who works with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and they were asking me to take down the tweet. And I refused. I don't work for them. I refused. Why? My tweet literally just quotes what Malcolm X said. And I'm sending people to the podcast to listen to the full interview. The second time, I get a call from Shadrach Sibiya, someone close to Shadrach Sibiya, who says to me, you are clearly playing for that side. You are clearly with Abu Mkhwanazi trying to attack and destroy Shadrach Sibiya's life. Just because I tweeted that Sedge, who was on this show, is friends with Sibiya. And that's not my view. That's what Sedge said. Literally, my tweet said, Sedge tells me on the CM show that he is close friends with Shadrach Sibiya. Now I get calls. You are trying to destroy Shadrach Sibiya's life. You are with Mkhwanazi. Take down... No, I don't operate like that. I don't get told what to do by people I report on. I work for you as a listener. And if I find something to be weird, if I want to criticize something, I'm going to bring it up. You are welcome to disagree with me. Shadrach Sibiya is welcome to come on this show and disagree with me. So is Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And over the time, we've asked for comments and requested interviews with them. I've never barred them from the show. But this idea that because you think someone is so brave, which he is, right? General Mkhwanazi is brave. He's noble. I wish we had more public servants like him. But I don't take him as God. I don't. He's an incredible person. He has revealed incredible things. But when he behaves in a manner that I think is weird, I'm going to say so. And if you think I'm wrong, you're welcome to also say that. What we mustn't do is cross the line now of trying to argue that because somebody disagrees with him, then that person is part of the criminal cartel. I mean, people have been attacking Julius Malema since when? earlier today, well, not even now, was it last week or when? Julius Malema was now under attack because of the questions he was asking, insisting that the statement must be original to the Parliamentary Committee. Yesterday, Julius Malema was asking Mkhwanazi about the issue of the judiciary. He told Mkhwanazi, you said the judiciary is corrupt, but you only gave us a name of a magistrate. So when you said judiciary, this is what it means. Some people then attack him for asking that question because why are you questioning Mr. Mkhwanazi like that? Come on, guys. Surely we are more than that. We can analyze things more than that. We can allow people to do their work in these parliamentarians without now. What's going to happen now? We're going to say Julius Malema is also part of the criminal cartel. It's getting messy. I'm telling you, it's weird. Patrick, you're calling us from Boxback. Good morning.
Clement, is
Patrick,
it me?
yes, it is you, my brother. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for taking my call. I think there's a few things that I want to just put on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, context matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I picked up what the general was saying. Firstly, before he was making his point, he praised the journalist. He praised media houses.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, very clear. He was even thanking the media for helping him to bring his message out March the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
But he also made the point that there's some bad apples, and he made it very, very clear. And context matter, and I want to come back to context matter.
Mm-hmm.
What he was saying, all of a sudden, and some objective people will also pick that up. After March the 6th, a lot of other things that happened some time ago, all of a sudden, featured.
Mm-hmm.
And people ask him about things that happened in the past.
Mm.
Now, I that's what I heard him saying. He was not, and most probably it's also out of frustrations because all of a sudden, now let's presume he didn't say what he said on March the 6th,
Mm-hmm.
which some of the journalists came up with things that he was purported to have been guilty of in the past, even sometimes in the further past.
Yeah.
Why does it come out now? That's what I hear him saying.
Does that prove
does
that prove that those journalists are part of a drug cartel? I hear what you're saying, Patrick, right?
No.
So,
give me an opportunity.
Yeah.
Give me an opportunity.
No, I will.
Back to
I just want to, maybe when you come back, respond to that too, right? Because there's nothing wrong with questioning things like, why is this coming out now? I agree with you there. That you can be suspicious with that, but also you've got an opportunity to prove that I was never found guilty of anything. But please tell me how reporting about that somehow then proves that you're part of a cartel and you receive drug money.
Well, I can't speak on his behalf. I'm saying to you, it could be over frustrations, right? I'm in the middle of these things. I'm trying to save South Africa in my little way. And here are people attacking me. He's a human being just as anybody else. And now what I would have also suggested to journalists that feels aggrieved through SANEF, it will also be very helpful if SANEF would have made a statement this morning and saying, we heard what the general was saying. We are going to engage with him and see whether whatever he's saying is true or not. And then we will take it up. Because SANEF must also protect their own integrity. They can't just come out and say, the journalist that was mentioned, it's either true or not.
And they must also hold journalists accountable. I agree, Patrick, that SANEF doesn't just exist to defend the journalist.
Exactly.
If there's an allegation that there are specific journalists that are somehow compromised and are driving a narrative, they're receiving monies for that, SANEF needs to exist to release a statement and say, we're also going to look into that. Here's the challenge though, Patrick. Nobody has even contacted SANEF. No case has been opened. If you so believe that Abraham Mashiru or any other journalist for that matter is actually implicated and is involved in this network, can we have an investigation, please? Because it's irresponsible to just put it out there.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But I want to go back to the point that I make. We can chew gum and walk.
True.
I think one of the things that worries me. Now we can take that and criticize the general of saying what he said about certain journalists, right? Let's engage with that. But there is bigger issues here that we must not lose focus of.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it worries me as a South African that there's big issues in front of us. Then we would like to also equalize the side shows that must be dealt with as well, underline. But at this moment in time, we can do both.
Yeah.
So this morning, I've listened to a few, one or two radio stations, and now the issue is what the general said against journalists, as opposed to the very important and explosive things that he said that needs further interrogation. Obviously, everybody's got to say, even the people that he's criticizing. That's why we call it a commission.
Yeah, but you also said we can chew and walk. You also said we can chew and walk at the same time. I mean, I played a clip of General Cele, for instance, right, to show you that, in fact, I didn't even run with the journalist view. The reason we even got into this conversation is because someone sent a voice note saying, I heard the general refer to you yesterday saying you criticized him about the way he responded to a journalist. And then after that, voice notes started flooding in about what Sanef said. Told the producers, get Sanef on the line so that we can ask them what exactly are they concerned about. So we can chew and walk at the same time, Mwako. Some people find that to be of interest. And of course, other things that the general said are also of interest, which is why we've played those clips. And you're welcome to also bring in something that for you was of bigger interest from that inquiry yesterday. But thanks for engaging with us, Patrick. Let's hear what the other listeners think after the break. It's 10 minutes before 10. Eight minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line through your calls, your tweets, your WhatsApps as well. In fact, I didn't play a lot of WhatsApps today because there were lots of calls and we took that interview from Sanef as well. So maybe let's wrap up with like 2 or 3 WhatsApp voice notes before we get on to our hanging out feature.
Morning, Clement. I'm not taking a side here. It's just I understand your position as a journalist, and I understand the position of general as a policeman who is exposing, like, how do I describe the things that is exposing a nuclear bomb in South Africa, politics, local, everywhere, each and every corner. So they become sensitive when it comes to the work that they're exposing. Whatever a small thing that raise their voice or something talking against, you are a suspect. You're becoming a suspect. You see, that's how I see it. I'm not saying you are wrong. I'm not saying general is wrong. I'm just saying, trying to show you like the other side, how I see it as a listener of 702.
But Clement, I get you. I just feel like there is more to the story, in a sense that for him to respond this way means there is probably history between the two of them that makes Mkhwanazi to be hostile towards that particular journalist, because it doesn't really make sense for him to respond that way unless there is literally some history behind it.
Yeah,
that's my feeling.
Got you. And once again, right, and you're right, maybe there is history we're unaware of. The point I'm trying to make is I don't think journalists are above reproach. I think we must be held accountable. And if there's evidence that there's some rotten journalists, they must be investigated. What I think is irresponsible is having someone who is in such a powerful position on a public platform making insinuations. I mean, I've just been told that a member of parliament yesterday, Mr. Skosana, suggested that Kathy Nhlanhla is also one of the rogue journalists. I mean, guys, do you know Kathy? Kathy is the sweetest girl, the most probably neutral journalist you'll come across. Like, I come on the show and I've got views, right? And my views are very strong sometimes. I mean, my mom called me yesterday and she was like, hey, when usihlalisa kabuhlungu, that means like you, because I say things on air that my mom listens to me and says, "Wena man, you're scaring me because I'm scared these people are going to come after you." And I always have to explain to my mom that, "Mama, I'm a journalist. I don't work for Cyril Ramaphosa. I don't work for Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. I don't work for Julius Malema. I work for the listeners." Right? That's why, remember Pravin Gordhan used to call my bosses when I criticize him on air. Try to put pressure because I'm saying something. Why is he not coming to challenge me on air? It happens. DA leader John Steenhuisen doesn't even do interviews with me. Why? Because I criticize. A minister in the presidency doesn't even do interviews with me because I've asked a question about Phala Phala. That's the job I do. There's always going to be people who come every day who are going to have issues with me. I'm used to it. But I think we're getting into an environment where the way we interact with each other is becoming so unhealthy, and it's rotting, because just because you criticize someone or you think they're wrong in this one aspect, then you are branded as being part of some cabal that receives money from drug cartels. Very easy, guys. If you suspect and you think you've got reason that there are journalists that are corrupt, let's investigate. And in fact, even with SANEF, I don't think SANEF should be so scared of us as journalists being investigated. If there's reason to believe that we are somehow involved or some journalists are involved, hey, let's open our bank accounts, everything. Let there be an investigation that is transparent so that we get to the bottom of it. It's easy like that. But let's not make assumptions here where people's names are thrown out and you're trying to destroy their reputations just because they have reported on something you don't like. That's not a good way in this democratic country we live in. It's 12 minutes now after 10.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
On our Hanging Out feature this morning, we're hanging out with actor Gabriel Temudzani. Many people know him as Azwindini. I bet you, probably most people, when they meet him, they call him that because he has portrayed this character so brilliantly over the years as Chief Azwindini Mukwebe on Mubango. I think for over 20
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock. Zandile, you're calling us from Benoni. Good morning.
Clement, how are you?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
Good. I just wanted to, expand on a point that you and Patrick were debating on about the timing of the publications that have now, come out against the general.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what, sort of seems suspicious, and exactly what you're saying, that it doesn't mean that now because we are questioning certain things about the general, it means we're part of the cartel.
Yeah.
But the timing of it makes it suspicious. Because now when you think about it, you ask yourself, why were these concerns not raised before the general came before, the country, the 6th of July, if really it was a concern? So it's almost like we are trying to take attention away from the issue at hand.
Yeah.
Yes, the general might have issues, or maybe he might have skeletons in the closet, we don't know. But at the moment, I feel like if we really want to move our country forward and in a good way, we all need to band together to support the general the best way that we can. Even with the way he, when he's presenting his evidence, I've seen on Twitter how people will dissect the way in which he answers. And I'm always asking myself, why is it that when you see where he is falling short, do you not put in your 2 cents worth from a departure point of assisting, so that we make sure that this process is as sanctified as possible?
Yeah.
Because, if you have experience with litigation, you will know how sometimes a case will be thrown out of court, not because there's no fault, but because of technicalities. So in order for this process to, to be as clean as possible, we as the country need to help in the best way that we can. We can circle back on whatever skeletons there might be that the general might have, but that will be, that it will be its own thing at that
and it
time.
becomes secondary. Yeah. Here's a question, though, Zandile. By the way, I don't think that the general even has skeletons. I don't know anything about that, right? But here's a question. President Cyril Ramaphosa fires, let's say, Arthur Fraser, right? Who was the Correctional Services Commissioner. Arthur Fraser then, in retaliation, let's say, comes out and says, oh, I've actually known about what happened at Phala Phala. This is what Cyril Ramaphosa did at Phala Phala. He was busy hiding money in the couches. Are you also going to have the same approach and say, why are we focusing on what has happened in the past just because Cyril Ramaphosa has found Arthur Fraser wanting in this instance? Or because, I'm raising that, Zandile, because we are not consistent in our approach. And I have never been the person that says, just because someone has revealed something, then that means they are untouchable. If there are things they've done in the past that are wrong, absolutely they must be held accountable for that. And yes, we must ask. And I'm giving you an example of Arthur Fraser, because Arthur Fraser had information about Phala Phala. When did he release that information? Did he release it when he was employed by Cyril? No. He releases it when he's he's fired by Cyril, and they're going after him, especially for what happened at the State Security Agency. Then if we use the same approach that you are suggesting on Mkhwanazi, then let's park Phala Phala and not go there, because what matters now is what Arthur Fraser has done at the State Security Agency. Can we go with that approach?
I agree with you, Wena Clement, and unfortunately it's a slippery slope, because as you say, it's almost like we're not consistent. And I think we would obviously have to, I don't even know if whether we consider the severity of what is at stake, then we would then say, okay, no, this one we can handle in this way, and then this one we can handle in that way. Because true to what you're saying, Arthur Fraser is no different to a criminal, because he had this information, but he held on to it for convenience. And when he was shown the door, then it's like, oh, by the way, if he was a true law-abiding citizen, he would have come forth with that information the minute he became aware of it. And it then goes to the ethics of people that hold public office. Because if as a public office holder, you know this information and you are quiet, what does that say about you?
Yeah, true. No, I hear you. Zandile and Benoni, thank you so much for your thoughts. I wonder what's going to come out, because our Shadrach Sibiya are going to have stuff that they're going to say also about General Mkhwanazi. And I think what we need to do is I agree with Zandile, separate the two, right? We've got stuff that's been revealed and we need to focus on that. I don't think we must shift the focus now and focus on, but Mkhwanazi has done this in the past. I don't think that should be the approach. But if Shadrach Sibiya comes and says, oh, there's been criminality like this, what are we saying? Are we saying then that we don't consider that completely? Because, that's happened in the past. I think we must question, Wena Sibiya, why are you only bringing this thing now? If Sibiya comes there, we must question him like that. Why are you only bringing this thing now? But does that mean then that thing shouldn't be investigated because it came much later? Then if that's how we want to approach it, then that we must be consistent with the application of that principle, I suppose is a point I'm making. That's why I'm using the Phala Phala scandal as an example. Why are we pushing the president on Phala Phala? Because it happened before. Why wasn't it brought in when this person was still even employed in the State Security Agency? As Correctional Services Commissioner. Why is it coming out much later when it looks like the state is going after him? I'm just saying, let's be consistent in our approach.